Hey everyone, it's Arkeem. Whoa, that lighting's weird. Sorry. Didn't see that. Let's see if this helps. So, in the ethos of just posting more content, speaking the more truth, like I said earlier in the last video, I feel like I'm getting drowned out. I feel like our community has been hijacked a little bit. People I care about are whatever. I don't want to talk about all that. I want to be positive now. I already said all that stuff. Basically, I just want to post the truth more. I'm not going to go on the internet and yell at other people who disagree with me and stuff. That's dumb. I'm just going to talk the truth more. And this video, I admittedly didn't watch, but Kat did. And she's like, this is good. And I was like, should I just do a stream right away? And she's like, that actually probably be cool. So we're just doing it. We're just doing it. This guy was in the military, you guys. And he was part of the PSYOPs division of the government, basically, or the military. And apparently this guy's got the warning signs. Basically, this should be an interesting video. I have to find it. Hold on here. Desktop. I thought I moved it to my desktop. Let me check it. Gang stalking. I'm seeing all sorts of stuff, but I'm not seeing the video. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Didn't I not put it on my desktop? I downloaded it, but it should be in my desktop because that's where I put it. So anyway, thank you for being here for the people who are here. Hold on a second. We're here. I see it. It's right here. I just have to move it to my desktop, which I already did, but it's not there. So let's just do it again. My computer's acting really weird. Hold on. Like it's even like doesn't want me to click on it. I don't. Oh, okay, here we go. Show on Finder. There we go. Now I should be able to find it. I already did that earlier. I don't know why I had to do that again. That's weird. But that's okay. We're gonna find the file now, and we're gonna share it, and it's gonna be good. All right. So this is a guy who's in the military, who trained in PSYOPs. So he's trying to show people, basically just what he's learned. Let's learn from this guy. Let's see how to identify a PSYOP.
If this is the end, if the stars fall and the earth it begins to bend.
The intelligent minorities can engineer consent through the use of manipulation, propaganda, and control, and we should do it.
People have got to know.
They literally, you hear that? Yeah, they manufacture consent. Problem, reaction, solution. The Hegelian dialect.
Whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Look at how blatantly they lie to you guys. It's almost entertaining, isn't it?
We are in the midst of a serious financial crisis, and the federal government is responding with decisive action.
I know that the American people share my deep belief that if a danger exists in the world, it is a danger shared by all.
We need to actually double down on the public health measures.
You can't look at that television and say, nothing happened on the 6th.
I'd like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Most people have no awareness of how easily our behavior and even our identity can be completely taken over. But people are waking up. I spent 20 years in the U.S. military. I'm a behavior expert. I've trained PSYOPs. I'm the best-selling author in behavioral psychology. I want to show you exactly how to identify what we call engineered reality, or what some people call PSYOPs. At the end of this, I'm going to give you a tool that's literally going to give you a score out of 100 that shows you how likely something is to be a PSYOP. Let's do this. So the first thing you need to know is following the FATE model: focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. This is what triggers the mammalian part of our brain that makes all of our real decisions. The first part is focus. PSYOPs always aim to hijack your attention with repetition, shocking visuals of fear-inducing scenarios. Some examples are like 24/7 media coverage of a crisis or constant repetition of terms like unprecedented. So with this, pause and ask, why is this message being pushed so aggressively? So compare how much airtime different stories are receiving and note any disproportionate.
So I want to point out to you guys, I worked for Aquino. I was part of the PSYOPs division of the government. I was brainwashed, memory wiped. I'm slowly getting my memories back, so I don't remember everything. But what have I been saying about these PSYOPs? What have I been saying about how they operate? This guy's already parroting things that I've said, and I've never watched this video. So I found that kind of interesting.
Focus. The second part here is authority. Trusted figures might shift their tone or positions unnaturally to support the narrative. So watch very closely for.
So that would be an example. A good example would be all of Trump's supporters, like Trump, like being like really anti, like supporters being really anti 2020 event. Well, we're saying, but him also being the bearer of Operation Light Speed. Or like warp speed. Like you can only have it one way. Like, but with a PSYOP you can have it both ways.
Yeah, and I think that what we're seeing right now with the tone, the way the media is shifting, that's happening with media too. They're all kissing the ring.
So this person says, "Were you really in the government?" And use your own discernment. I'm not just like saying like just blindly believe me. Do a lot of research before you come to your own conclusion. That's the best thing to do for anybody who wasn't directly involved in things. But the short answer is yes. And even I've been verified by CIA archivist Doris Neely, who has seen my files and said that she uploaded them to the CIA computer. Yeah, your vibes are stinky, so I'm gonna kick you out of the chat. And best of luck. You can keep watching if you want, but I don't really feel like arguing with people. It's like not why I'm here. I'm here to present information. So bye. All right. Anyway, so now I can't get rid of their comment. It's a glitch because they don't exist here anymore.
I can take care of it.
Okay, so anyway, just didn't really feel like dealing with that. Yeah, if you don't agree with the content, you can either leave or keep watching to decide whether, maybe you'll change your mind. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I just removed them.
Expert panelists or endorsements where authority figures might speak outside of their expertise. Pay close attention to that one. Then we have tribe. So messages that polarize opinions or create stark in-groups versus out-groups or exploit our tribal instincts. For example, labeling groups as patriots versus traitors or scientific versus deniers. Be very careful when you hear that language. Finally, we have emotion. So be wary of any communication that triggers strong emotions like fear, hope, or outrage without any clear, verifiable evidence. So emotional responses suppress critical thinking. Emotional responses suppress critical thinking. So as a tip here, analyze the evidence that's presented to you. If facts are replaced by appeals to emotion, you need to be very, very cautious. As an example, think
about how much of the current rhetoric we're seeing right now is all emotion-based. It's so much of it's emotion-based. And yeah, I don't know. It's not like it's bad to be emotional, but at the same time, it's maybe a lot better for certain situations. You gotta react logically, not emotionally. And so that's one thing to look at.
Think about like a news channel repeatedly showing images of empty grocery shelves and panicked shoppers during a food supply scare. It dominates every broadcast and it pushes people into fear-driven behavior. Next, question novelty.
Think that all the toilet paper being gone.
I was literally just thinking about that.
All the toilet paper being gone. That'd be a really good example of that.
Our brains are wired to focus on sudden or unusual changes because they signal potential threats or opportunities. And this is an evolutionary survival mechanism. PSYOPs exploit this by creating events that break normal expectations, like unexpected crises or dramatic revelations. So ask yourself, why is this new? So consider if the event or somebody's message has been artificially manufactured or timed. Look for patterns like sudden shifts in public opinion, trending.
Timed. TikTok gets deactivated. And then magically, just out of sheer coincidence, oh, Trump's president now and he can fix everything. And then TikTok gets reactivated and they say, thank you, Trump. Thank you. You can't even fucking write this shit if you try, man.
Hashtag that are unusual or viral videos that seem very coincidental. So for this one, just picture a new viral video just claims to expose a government cover-up, but it conveniently comes out the exact same day that there's some damaging evidence against some high-ranking official. The timing shifts public focus. All of this is part of the
That's something that our community, I feel like, is fairly good at doing. People in the truth or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what you call this community, but there's a lot of people who see the patterns and they look and they see these things. And I've noticed a lot of people pointing out exactly what he's talking about. So there's at least something that we get.
Yeah, we're also full of autistic people, so we're very good at pattern recognition.
Yeah, so there you go.
The NCI system I developed for teaching tradecraft and extreme psychological operations. And there's even a gigantic textbook for all of this stuff in the description. Definitely not for everybody, but it's definitely the most comprehensive guide in the world on this stuff. So next item, look for multiple sources. Centralized narratives create an echo chamber and they silence dissent and they narrow perspectives. For example, if all media outlets present identical talking points, it is a humongous red flag. So actively seek out contrarian or independent voices, even if they challenge something that's already in your head. So in reality, an example, during a maybe breaking health crisis, all the major news outlets report on the exact same study, but independent researchers revealed the study was funded by a company selling the solution. So watch for that group speak. Next is identify cognitive dissonance weapons. Let's talk about how this works. So cognitive dissonance comes up when new information clashes with our identity or our beliefs. So PSYOPs exploit the hell out of this by including micro-agreements. Micro-agreements are little, small, seemingly harmless concessions to shape your identity. And over time, you're going to unconsciously align your behavior to reduce that internal conflict. And as a weaponization example of this, a PSYOP might present you as a part of moral or intelligent enlightenment, like only good citizens do XYZ. If you disagree with that, you risk some identity conflict there. So reflect on your identity and ask, am I being nudged to identify with some other group? So be very careful of any campaigns that are asking for seemingly minor commitments there, like signing petitions, changing your profile picture that evolves into some bigger compliance or demand later. As an example of this, let's say a company launches an ad campaign and they claim real patriots.
I don't. That's it. That's as much energy as I'm willing to give that before you get banned from my chat.
Buy local. If you disagree with their product, it feels like rejecting your identity as a patriot. So this pushes you to conform. Be very, very skeptical about those identity statements. Next is looking for those emotional scripts. And what I mean by this is the scripts that were written in our brains by our ancestors. So manipulated narratives trigger instincts like the fear of loss or scarcity, social rejection, or danger. For example, a media story about food shortages might activate survival scripts that cause panic buying and stuff like that. And we have scarcity fear. This is sudden warnings about limited resources like water or medicine. Also sparks that.
I would give a real good example of this. I remember hearing about 2 years ago a lot of stuff. And yes, there was a lot of really bizarre, like, fires at farms and meat processing facilities and stuff that, like, blew up or whatever. There was all this weird stuff going on, and I kept on hearing there's going to be no food. There's going to be no food, and everyone's going to starve or whatever. Food did get more expensive, but that didn't happen. So that's what that makes me think of, kind of. I don't know.
Behavior. And then we have tribal rejection. These are threats of being socially outcast, like you're selfish if you don't comply. And those things.
Yeah, that would be like the whole Trump movement. Like everybody, like with Trump, like I feel that way. And also, I would say the event that he keeps referring to, I felt that way during that as well. You know, that was part of the reason why I went along with the program at first, to be honest with you. I thought, you know, trust all the powers that be and everything, and I'm pretty open about that. Like, I've been wrong, and I'm always willing to admit when I'm wrong. And this guy's right. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, and he's pointing it all out brilliantly.
Override logic every time. And as a tip for this, break the script by focusing on the facts. Like, what's the likelihood of this scenario? So compare the claims with other sources. For this, just picture where a politician says something like, if we don't act now, our children will not have a future. This taps into survival instincts, those ancestor scripts in our head, and it's tied to protecting offspring. It creates urgency without any facts. Next is follow the money. So there's a trail of beneficiaries here. So identifying who benefits always is going to reveal the motive. So look for funding sources like sponsorships or political connections that are tied to the narrative. So use tools like opensecrets.org or public financial records to see who profits from this. So for policies or campaigns, identify the industries like pharmaceuticals, tech companies, etc., that stand to gain the most. So to illustrate this in your mind right now, picture a charity that's promoting clean energy awareness, and they seem noble until an investigation are showing that it's funded by.
Take a moment of silence. We have the first, like, real, like, troll here. So I guess the best thing I can do, if you want, this is what I'll do for you, bud. It sounds like you have like your own channel and stuff. So email me. All right, there's my email. And if you want to have me on your truth movement or whatever, and ask me why I lie or whatever, and have me explain to you that I'm not, and have you question, okay, but what about this? What about that? Let's do that. Let's settle this here and now. You clearly, like, the fact that your name is Truth Movement. You care about truth. All right, have me come on your show. I'm not lying. I'm not. So just, yeah, like, let me come on your, you know. You don't have to keep on, like, if you want to talk to me, you don't have to harass me on my YouTube channel. Like, just, I get it. Like, you obviously care about truth. So, yeah, email me and let's actually talk to each other. But, like, just, like, literally flooding my YouTube channel with your comments, waste of time. I'm trying to talk about other stuff right now. So I'm just going to keep banning you for now. But, you know, if you were ever willing to talk to me and have a conversation with me, I don't mind you coming in my chat. Just, you know, be respectful. Like, I don't know. That's it. Like, I really don't feel like having to prove myself over and over again. Like, I do this every day. But if you really care, email me. I'm not the biggest person in the world, and you probably aren't either, so I actually have time for that. So let's just fucking, like, you don't have to keep on making new channels to log in. Like, seriously, dude. Like, come on, man. Just email me, put it in the chat for you. Yeah, man. Like, I get it. People don't believe me. Some people think I'm lying. This is nothing new to me, buddy. I don't know if I'll be able to convince you, but at the end of the day, if I can, I really don't give a shit. So, peace. All right, back to the subject at hand.
A solar panel corporation that's lobbying for subsidies or something like that. Next, and this one is very important, is analyze the context boundary. The mechanism here is context, and context defines what is permissible. So manipulative people shift contexts to normalize extreme behavior. As an example of this, in emergencies, People accept surveillance or martial law that they normally would completely resist. So
this is what I'm kind of saying about the borders, like, and people wanting borders to be stronger, and people thinking that the police will have to be granted more rights to be able to do deportations and things like that. This is exactly what he's talking about.
Ask, what is the context? Compare some similar events in different settings to see if the rules or responses seem disproportionate. Look for contradictions. So for lots of the students who are brand new to NCI University, this right here is the most massive realization when they realize that the ability to weaponize cognitive dissonance and then shift the context can get anyone to do almost anything. As a hypothetical example of this, let's say there's a major cyber attack. The governments are now justifying some sweeping surveillance laws to protect the citizens. This changes the context to make previously unacceptable actions seem absolutely necessary. Next, spot the use of archetypes because they're woven into our brains. PSYOPs simplify narratives by using archetypes like heroes and villains and saviors. Some examples are like portraying one leader as the sole solution or demonizing dissenters as the enemy. Deconstruct the story. Ask, who are the characters and what roles are they playing? Simplistic, like good versus evil stories usually signal manipulation just about every time. So always seek nuance there. In the real world, you're going to see something like,
my mouse is being really weird. It's like dancing around and won't let me click on stuff. Super bizarre. Super fucking weird. But anyway, I think a good example of that would be like the LGBT community. Like, they're all powerless, but they're the most powerful people. Like, I don't know. Like that. I think that'd be a good example of that. Like, anyway.
Maybe a leader is repeatedly portrayed as a savior fighting something that's pure evil, and the narrative ignores their mistakes and oversimplifies the conflict to prevent a lot of scrutiny. Next.
Yeah, I would say that's another thing. Like
white hats.
The white, like oversimplifying the conflict. Like, yeah, like all LGBT people want to make your kids trans, and they're all P-files and things like that. That's another example I would think of that. Like, so yeah, just pointing that out as well.
Evaluate the frame. So let's do a step-by-step evaluation here. First one is expectation. What are you expected to believe or do based on this thing that you're exposed to in the media? Next is belief. What assumptions are being made about you, like your values or your fears? Then we have perception. So how is reality being shaped, like selective facts or missing contexts? And definition is the final step here when it comes to a frame. What truth is being asserted as something that's completely unchallengeable? This comes up with information suppression. So really look for topics that are being avoided, critics that are being silenced. If somebody needs to be silenced in order for an idea to make it, then the idea is not good. So alternative viewpoints being discredited, that's a big one to look out for. So cross-check timelines of events and notice if critics are labeled conspiracists or if algorithms are suppressing some kind of specific search, and this is a big one.
What did we just do a show on? This is a big one, he says. As soon as TikTok gets reactivated, you can't post stuff with the hashtag that says fuck Trump. They're questioning posts, all this weird stuff going on. Meanwhile, a lot of people in the truther community who's supposed to be all about the truth are like, oh, it's probably because the white hats took it over. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, they added all the features that everybody hates.
Absolutely
about
nuts, dude. Absolutely nuts what's going on. The good guys are the bad guys. That's what's going on. I'm being facetious, guys.
Especially in today's time. So to get a good example of this, during maybe a corporate scandal, the company's PR team frames these critics as disgruntled employees with a grudge. So this shifts the focus away from the legitimate concerns to the motives of the critics, and it does it almost without us realizing that that's happening in our brain. So next, be alert to rapid compliance shifts. This one is scary, and it's happening every day. PSYOPs create urgency to drive rapid compliance, and these tactics are stuff like...
Okay, so I'll give you another example of that. Somebody who came on my show who I respect and love, and not trying to talk shit about them if they figure out, oh, is Ark talking about me because they watch my show? I love you so much, but sorry, I'm gonna point this out. They said that that because of this border crisis and because of the deportations that are gonna happen, police are probably gonna pull over a lot more Mexican Americans, like people who are like brown colored Americans. But you know, that's what they have to do in order to get the job done. I think that would be a good example of like this forced compliance and like people just like all of a sudden being okay with things that they think are wrong. Like giving the police more power to do more fucked up stuff is not a good thing. It's not. It's
Yeah. Well, I think that another thing that
either
we're
you go all the
seeing.
way over there, and I don't even know if they can hear you.
So another thing that we're seeing is all these media outlets that were previously critical of the administration that's coming in. They're doing a rapid shift in tone, and they're basically bending the knee and kissing the ring. Even like NPR, which is like a pretty like bog standard liberal, media outlet, they're doing it. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is there's just this sudden drastic shift in tone that's happening, and it's very unnatural, just like he's saying here.
Emotional appeals, staged group behaviors, or false consensus. For this, it's really important to slow down and resist the pressure to act, to question the conformity as much as possible, and test the message, engaging the skeptics there. So in the real world, this might look like maybe a viral social media challenge urges all these users to adopt this brand new symbol or profile picture or hashtag kind of overnight, and it creates a wave of compliance. So later, this is kind of like a foot in the door technique. It's tied to some divisive political agenda. Next, study the timing of the events, and this one's huge, especially right now. Timing is everything. Ask yourself, why is this happening now? So what other events or scandals might this thing be distracting everybody from? So look for very coincidental timing with unrelated major news stories or political movements. PSYOPs can very often be smoke screens. And in real life, you might see stuff like a huge celebrity breakup floods all of the headlines exactly as some major investigative report about government corruption is about to be released. Coincidence? Probably not. The next thing I want you to do is to sharpen your brain to start hearing and understanding these manipulation tactics. And one of the biggest things that you can do, the most effective way that I could train you right now, just you and me, is to teach your brain to recognize logical fallacies. So let's go through these, because PSYOPs very often use these flawed arguments to convince people. And if you know how to spot them, it makes you a lot harder to manipulate. Let me give you 10 of these so that your brain gets hardwired to start seeing everything a whole lot differently. So the first one that you're going to see all the time, appeal to emotion. So this uses fear and anger and hope to bypass logic. So like, if you don't support this, children are going to suffer. Next is the straw man argument. This misrepresents somebody's argument so they can attack it better. So somebody might say they oppose the lockdowns because they don't care about lives. Think about that one. Number 3 is the bandwagon fallacy. So this claims that something is true because everyone supports it. And this is, you hear this all the time. Millions of people agree with X, Y, and Z. You should agree with it too. Number 4 is the false dilemma. This presents only 2 extreme options and it ignores alternatives. So it's the either you're with us or you're against us fallacy there. Number 5 is the ad hominem attacks. This is the attack of the person and not the argument. Be very observant for this. So this is when you hear you can't trust her. She's not a scientist. You can't do X because they're not qualified based on X. Ad hominem is very common, and I want your brain to be able to spot it. Number 6 is appeal to authority. And this is a claim that something is true because an authority figure said so. So like Dr. X supports it, so it's absolutely right. You have to trust the science. Number 7 is the slippery slope. These are claims that one action is going to lead to some extreme negative outcome. So you've heard this before. Somebody says something like, if we allow this, we're going to lose.
If we allow LGBT people to exist, everyone's gonna. They're targeting their dogs. Yeah, they're all gonna marry their dogs, and they're gonna target the kids, and it's their maps. People believe that's a real thing, that LGBT people they're like, if you go to an LGBT function, there's pedophiles there. They're like, hi, this is the pedophile part of the party. It's the most insane shit I've ever heard in my life as a person existing in the real fucking actual world that actually exists. So yeah, I mean, that's an example of what this guy's talking about.
All of our freedoms are gone. The country is gone. All of that kind of talk like that. Be very attuned to when you hear that and very cautious when you hear that. Number 8, hasty generalizations. And these are broad claims that are made with very little evidence. So the example is, 2 politicians lied, so all of them must be corrupt. So giant claim, tiny bit of evidence. 2 politicians might have lied, so they're all corrupt. Number 9 is huge. It's the red herring. So this distracts people with irrelevant information. You've heard this maybe as an example when somebody says, why are we worrying about climate change when we have so much crime going on right now? It's an argument of distraction. Number 10 is false equivalence. This compares 2 things as equals when they're absolutely not equal.
Like LGBT people being pedophiles when they're not. It's 2 different fucking things. I'm sorry, I keep on coming back to that, but that's, that's a big part of. It's one of the first things that he did was go after that kind of stuff when he became president. It was one of the first things he did was say, we're going to sign an order that says that there's only 2 genders, even though there intersex people exist, and that's very much so not actually true. Like, doesn't matter what you think. Like, facts don't care what your feelings. Not to be that guy, but anyway.
So you'll hear somebody say something in the news that's both sides have extremists, so they're exactly the same. That's a very damaging one. I know there's a lot of information here, so I want to give you access to the actual tool that we use to identify PSYOPs that even rates the likelihood on a 1 to 100 scale. And I'm going to add that into the description right below this video. But
so his video is linked in my video. So if you want to see that, go to his video and check out his channel. I have not watched anything other than this video, so I don't know anything about his channel, but this is a great video, so I imagine he's got other great videos. So yeah, if you want to see that, go to his channel. It's linked in the description of this video.
Keep this in mind. Throughout history, the people who stood tallest in the storm were not the ones who knew all the answers. They were the ones who asked the right questions. They weren't the loudest voices, they were the calmest. They were the people that had composure. Thanks for spending some time with me. One love.
So that's basically it. I thought that was a really great video. I was instantly able to pick stuff out and recognize things going on. And, just another video. I'm going to be doing this a lot more. And thank you. Share this with your normie friends, guys. Really appreciate everybody who supports the channel. If you did get here just now, I'm sorry I got here a little bit late, but just rewind it, watch it, and I'm going to try to be doing more stuff like at different times of the day. So for you Aussies who support the channel, which is obviously hugely appreciated from me, I'll have to take a look into when you guys might be more likely to tune in. I'll have to look in and maybe try to do stuff more at that time. Like, what time is it over there in Australia right now? I could look on Google, but that's boring. You should tell if you could tell me what time it is. But anyway, we're going to be doing a lot more stuff because I realized that like reacting like this with the context, it's totally fine. This is what like literally everybody is doing. People make whole careers off of this. And I'm doing it 5:19 p.m. Okay, so it's 10:19 here. Okay, so you're just a bit behind because I'm in. That's so weird because I'm in the West Coast, so you guys aren't that far away. Okay, so anyway, yeah, that's cool. But anyway, so more stuff like this where I react to things, where I talk about things because it's so much. Oh, it's tomorrow though. Holy cow! Okay, so it's the next day.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's mind blowing. Oh my gosh. Okay, 6:19 in the UK. Hey, it's so cool that you guys are tuning in across the world. And yeah, so how to spot a psyop. This is from a guy who was telling you, and it's funny because he was applying this to, like, let's be real, he's talking about the 2020 event, but it's weird how you can apply all those same things to, I guess I'm just going to say it, Trumpism. Like, you can apply it to that. Like, it's the same shit, different pile. Like, it's very much so feels like a psyop to me. So I love you guys. That's the end of the show. I'm not going to do the outro this time, but I do want to thank my patrons. I just don't think it's necessary every time, but I do the little thank you at the end on a lot of videos. So not this time, but well, should I? I don't know. Should I just play it anyway?
Yeah.
I might as well just play it. Whatever. I'm gonna play the outro now, and I'm just gonna say goodbye to everybody, and thank you for tuning in, guys, and thank you to my patrons. Like, I do appreciate it. I just don't want to be like repetitive. I already did this thank you earlier, but whatever. People watching us, if they want to stop watching, it's very easy to just not. You just stop if you want. Thank you to my patrons. Well, right here it is. And then, yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And like I said, I'll be doing more random stuff like this. And we got a show tomorrow, 3 p.m. PST with Randy. We're going to be talking a little bit about current events, weird stuff going on. Rand Moonshadow is his name. I don't know what he goes by as like far as like, because I know it's his Facebook name. So forgive me. I don't know what he goes by when he does interviews, but maybe he does go by Rand Moonshadow. I don't know, but he's going to be on the show tomorrow. It should be interesting. We're going to be talking about some interesting current events and things like that, and then also some stuff about Mars. But I think we might end up talking about Mars a little bit too. So that should be an interesting show. Thanks for tuning in, guys.